Hi gear nerds, welcome to another video going through a load of nerdy rubbish. This one today is all about power supplies for the quad Cortex. As you probably know, the quad Cortex has had issues with its power supply. I've got a few here. I've actually I put a sticker on this one saying neural. This power supply has had many people in the forums talking about it being a little bit noisy. And I've got a number of power supplies that I've tried. One came with a pedal board that just happens to be a 12 volt DC, 3 amp supply. This one I bought from Amazon thinking I would be smart and solve the noise problem with something cheap that's a laptop power supply. This one actually has a center positive, so I've used an adapter, a center negative adapter. To adapt it for the quad Cortex. And then finally I gave in and bought a Chox DC7, which everybody in the forums says is the answer to the noise problems with the quad Cortex. My setup here today is I've got my iPhone running a decibel app. So I've got a decibel meter running on my iPhone. I've got a Marshall Hanwell, which is basically an FR stereo speaker. It goes pretty loud. I've got my quad Cortex, it's plugged into my guitar, and basically I'm going to record some of the different noise levels coming out. I'm just going to measure the decibel level. I don't think that's going to tell us a lot, but we're also going to listen to the quality of the noise coming through and see what we can hear when we compare all of these power supplies. Okay, let's get to it. Before we go any further, I should probably tell you a little bit more detail about my exact setup here. So firstly, the guitar I'm plugged into is a Strat, but it has Fishman Fluence noiseless pickups in it. I've got a normal cable going through to input 1. I've set input 1 as 0 dB on the input gain screen. I also have the master volume knob on the quad Cortex set at maximum. From there, I'm going out of the headphone output into the input of the speaker system. I've got 2 presets set up. So this is the high gain preset, noise test CA tremolo, and the dB meter on here, if I stop speaking for a second, is at about 54. Now, just to let you know how loud that is, it's really loud. If I just touch the guitar, it's really loud. So I've got the gain set up pretty high. To be honest, it's noticeable, but it's really not that bad. But there is sound there, and it's a buzzing sound more than there is hiss, but there's also a buzzing sound. Let's just switch to the twin reverb. So this is noise test with twin reverb. So in other words, a clean amp, and honestly, the noise isn't that bad. The noise is not that bad at all. By the way, I've taken off the noise gate here. When you put the noise gate on, the thing is completely silent. Okay, that was the quad Cortex power supply. Let's try the next one. Okay, this power supply is now, it's from a company called Amoon. I bought this on Amazon, and it's a 12 volt power supply. It powers the quad Cortex totally fine. Just have a listen to that level of noise. This is the high gain profile. The dB meter says 54. In fact, it was just settling down to 52 there. So it's not really all that loud, and to be honest, no real buzzing. Let's try it on the quieter low gain. Absolutely nothing. 40 dB. 40 dB. It's pretty much silent. Okay, let's try the next one. Okay, so this is the high gain profile. We now have a very significant level of noise coming from these speakers. This is the laptop style power supply that I got from Amazon. And clearly this is delivering quite a lot of noise. It's a buzz more than a hiss, and it's made much worse if you touch the strings. If I touch my guitar, it's made much worse. This is the high gain one. If I go to the low gain one, a lot of it's gone. And actually, if I touch my guitar, no problem at all. Let's just turn the volume up here on this profile. Let's just go back to reading the dB on this quiet one, settling down to about 62. I might just go back and test touching the guitar on the other ones. Okay, that's definitely the noisiest one so far, and not sure what we can conclude yet. Okay, next one. So let's just go back to the high gain. I've just gone back for 1 minute, back to the Neural DSP original power supply, because I wanted to test it when touching the strings of the guitar. And there's that noise, touching the strings. If I touch, noise meter is saying about 60 dB. If I let go, the noise is still there, but largely gone. If I just go back to my twin reverb profile, almost no noise that I can detect although let's just turn the, oh no, the volume is turned up. So actually on a clean profile, there's hardly any noise. But if we just go back to our noise test, just some hiss coming through, but when I touch the guitar, get that buzz coming through, which I think is the noise that people are referring to, because to be honest, that's the noise that I'm referring to when I get fed up with the noise. This is particularly annoying through headphones, and by the way, we are going out through the headphone jack here. Okay, well, let's move on to the big boy here, the Cortex DC7, and see how that sounds. Okay, here we are with the Cortex DC7. There is definitely hiss coming through on the high gain profile. Let's see what happens when we touch the guitar. Now, actually, not sure if you can hear that, but there is a tiny bit of noise that comes through when I touch the guitar, but it seems to stop straight away afterwards. So that level of buzz, 53 dB. Honestly, I didn't write them down, so I can't remember which was which. Of course, on the clean preset, absolutely clean. So there you go. Well, after doing that test, what are my conclusions? Frankly, it's not quite as compelling in favour of the Cortex as I thought it would be. My subjective experience of this whole thing was that all of the other power supplies were really noisy when I was using them, and the results show, I've written them down now, the results show that when you are on a higher gain preset and you are touching the strings of your guitar, you get up to about 60 dB using the neural power supply. If you're not touching the guitar, you're on about 50, 52, 53, 54. So 60, it is noticeable at 60 dB. By the way, this is not a reference microphone, so it's just a comparative measure. However, the one power supply that was noticeably bad all the time was the generic one that I got from Amazon, the generic laptop supply. I was hoping that I would be able to beat the system by buying a cheap power supply that was going to work, and it certainly did not. So don't go down that path unless you really know that the power supply you're getting is good. The only time now, so when you're not touching the guitar, the chocks basically had the same noise level on a high gain preset than the other power supplies, but the difference came when I touched my guitar, and at that level it was still only doing 52, 53 dB. There was only a slight tapping noise when I first touched the guitar, but generally not much noise. So when I got this was a really expensive piece of kit. This is £200. And I was expecting a life-changing experience, and I'm going to say it wasn't a life-changing experience. It's nice to have a little bit less noise, but there is still a little bit of noise. So not life-changing experience. It certainly is less noisy. I have not compared the other switch mode transformers, which are in the Mission and the Strymon, but I would understand it. I'm led to believe by YouTube that the Strymon and the Mission would have a similar impact than the Chocks. The Chocks has got a lot of nice other features, so it's not entirely wasted. Well, if you've made it this far to the most boring video in history, I congratulate you. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment. What a recommendation for this channel, a video about the noise of different power supplies. But like I say, if you've made it this far, please hit like and subscribe, and you're going to get loads of rubbish like this in future. Okay, thanks.